So we're now going to begin with a 6-minute cross-examination for each of the speakers. We'll begin with Mr. Kokol again. He will keep his answers short and to the point, and he will allow his opponent to answer them within reasonable limits. I expect the same from both speakers, and we may begin.
Okay, good. Dr. Baker, I was confused about some of the things that you said. First of all, your opening comment, the debate is, do objective moral rules exist? Is your answer yes or no to that question?
No.
Okay, so you do not believe in objective moral rules, but you did say you believe in evil. So can you explain to me what you mean by evil?
So think of what I've said. The human predicament is that moralities. Remember, sorry about that, are designed to address. One of the features of the human predicament is that people are capable of feeling horrible pain. People are capable of feeling great distress. So in most moralities that look reasonable, that can be well-grounded, that provide a possibly good way of life, there will of course be recognition of this fact. So in most moralities there will be rules which say that you ought not to cause to other people degrees of pain, degrees of distress that make their lives something like unbearable.
Mm-hmm.
So an evil act is an act designed to promote some great misery or some great pain, either to one individual or perhaps to many individuals.
Okay, I agree with that basic characterization. Why is it wrong to cause people pain and misery? Is it because our culture has decided that in a pluralistic kind of way? And if there are cultures who disagree and think it's fine to create pain and pleasure, are they obliged to do otherwise?
Well, I can't resist a two-part answer to that question, if you don't mind. First part says, because it hurts.
I'm sorry, I have a little difficult time hearing, sir.
Sorry.
Thank you.
First part of the answer is, why is it wrong to cause pain? Because it hurts. If you don't know what's wrong with pain, you've never had a pain. Right? What's wrong with pain isn't that what's wrong with causing pain isn't that the causing of pain is in some way, for example, contrary to God's will. That's not to understand what's wrong with pain. Right? That makes the causing of pain wrong because God doesn't like it, not because
I'm
we
not
don't
bringing
like
God
it.
into the discussion.
No. But that's the first part. Second part of the reply, what's wrong with pain, is that we can avoid pain. Right? Part of the human predicament that we feel pain. We can so structure moralities that we can organize things so that people feel less pain than they would otherwise feel. Why isn't that a complete answer?
Well, the question really is, what is it? Well, maybe I put it this way. You are admitting then that causing pain is wrong.
Sure.
And that would be true regardless of what culture you're in and what other circumstances you may be in, and whether your pluralistic culture happens to think otherwise, you're saying that it is wrong. Now that sounds to me a lot like moral realism. That is, it's an objective moral harm, it's not just something that was invented by a human being.
No.
Okay, can you distinguish the two for us?
Think of what the human predicament is. I mean, I gave myself about 10 minutes to describe the human predicament. There's a lot more to it, of course, than that. The function of moralities is to do something about the human predicament, which it is their function. Then part of the function of moralities will be to address the various things that constitute the human predicament, the realities of human life. And so, not surprisingly, any morality that with that kind of a goal will have rules which forbid the causing of, not causing pain, causing of unnecessary pain. It's not the case that causing pain is wrong under all circumstances, obviously. In certain kinds of medical procedures, it's useful to use the feeling of pain as a test procedure for when you've gone too far or not far enough. So it's causing of unnecessary pain in most circumstances. Which circumstances? Well, that will vary with the particular realities of the situation.
Yeah, I agree that there are difficulties in trying to figure out what right moral principle to apply or when it is right or wrong to allow pain. But it sounds suspiciously like what you're drawing on is an objective principle regarding the issue of harm, that it is wrong to create harm in a person without proper justification. And this is a broad, objective principle that can be applied in different circumstances. And in fact, you're trading on that in all of these discussions. If in fact it isn't the case, then there could be cultures that completely disagree with your assessment about how morality ought to operate and might follow a completely different roadmap, and consequently they would be allowed to do that from your perspective, as I understand it. Could you respond to that, please?
So ask yourself, what I keep on asking is, what's wrong with causing pain? My answer to that question is that it hurts.
Yeah.
What you're saying is, what you just said, is that what's wrong with causing pain is that it's contrary to some principle which is grounded objectively. I think you don't understand what's wrong with causing pain. It's the wrong way around. It's upside down.
Well, it seems to me that if it's wrong, then it's wrong. If it's not wrong, then it's not wrong. I just got the cutoff time there, so I guess I'm done. Thank you.
A major part of Greg's argument was the use of a very famous argument, as far as I know, first stated by Renfrew Bamborough in 1952 in the Natural Law, the Journal of Natural Law, I think it's called. And the argument proceeds by attempting to show that moral realism is correct and moral anti-realism of the kind that I'm arguing is incorrect by producing an example. So he produced the example of genocide and torture of children. I'm going to ask you a question. So the question that I want to ask is, why do you feel that on a picture of morality which is designed to address the human predicament, any moral system would similarly prohibit such activities? Why wouldn't they?
I'm just having a little difficulty hearing you sitting behind you like this. Why do I think that, I'm sorry, why do I feel, I guess this is the word you used.
Why, on what grounds do you think that with the picture of morality that an anti-realist like me is suggesting, where morality is designed to address the human predicament, such moralities as are viewed as reasonable wouldn't contain prohibitions of such activity? Of course they would, don't you think?
I think you're describing something different, though. If you wanted to make toast well, I might have a series of instructions that would allow you to get to the end that you have in mind. But of course, making toast well is not a moral kind of thing. It's just an activity, and you might have prescriptive steps to do that well that would make sense. But we're talking about something that's not just how to live well. We are talking about a moral obligation to treat human beings in a way that is well, if you can put it that way. Humans thrive under certain sets of circumstances. You described that. Why are we obliged to serve the thriving of other human beings when maybe if I thwart that in other people, I can live better myself? My suspicion here is what you're doing is you're actually smuggling in the morality that I'm describing into your systems, which is what makes the systems look appealing. But the minute that you acknowledge that these are not objective, but they are subjective, they are the things that you have decided will help your thriving under that circumstance,